Only 78% of employees in Singapore are satisfied with hybrid setup. This is actually the lowest in the world. To know more about this, we are joined by Jan Han Chu from Unispace Asia and Saikat Chatterjee from Gartner HR Practice. First, what's making Singaporean employees unsatisfied with hybrid work? Go ahead, Jan Han.
I think there are three drivers behind this gap. Right, the first driver is there's a huge gap in terms of the preference to work from home. Right, we see that we currently spend up to 3.7 days in the office, while we only prefer to come in 2.6 days. Right, there is also that aspect of generational differences. We see that age 55 and above employees are coming slightly more at 4.3 days in the office versus our younger Gen Zs, which are only coming 3.5 days. Right, these might in turn pressure younger colleagues to enter the office. Right, second, we are seeing a huge gap in terms of the office. Right, we are seeing that there is a lack of space to recharge within the office, especially among younger employees. Right. Thirdly, challenges at home. Right, we are seeing that employees struggle to ask questions to their colleagues and seniors, right, when they're working from home. Right, while globally we see that the main issue is a lack of team connection. This tells me that Singapore, we are facing more process-driven challenges as opposed to socially driven challenges across worldwide.
Yeah, according to Gartner's latest labor market survey, we actually found that lack of work-life balance is amongst the top three reasons why Singaporean employees change their last jobs. Now, as you think about it, employees, obviously want to retain the autonomy that they've got used to through the pandemic period. The other thing, what that's making, Singaporean employees unhappy with their hybrid work design is a couple of things. One is, obviously, when they come to office, they experience a lot of negative emotions that's being caused either by the distractions that they're experiencing from their colleagues or the difficulties in terms of, whether it's booking meeting rooms or using different technologies that they may have forgotten about. And then the last thing that is really important is, as we might know that most organizations during the pandemic actually reported improved performance and, so did employees feel. Now, suddenly, if they're having to come to the office today, it almost tells them that, their employer or their manager does not trust them. And that is not, something that is easy for employees to accept.
Now, just a follow-up. Aside from those that you've mentioned, are there any specific factors that contribute to the gap between employer and employee satisfaction in Singapore?
Our survey data found that less than 40% of employees are actually convinced about the reasons that their organization is asking them to come to office for. So that is, resulting into that negative emotions that employees are experiencing, in addition to lack of trust, etc. Interestingly, what we also found is, when organizations mandate employees to be in office on specific days, it does not actually lead to improved performance or engagement. On the contrary, it actually leads to negative results, and particularly for women and high-performing employees and millennials. So organizations really need to be careful because these talent segments are the biggest flight risk for organizations if they do not do things differently.
Yeah, I think Singapore is quite unique as a location. Right? We are operating in an environment where it's higher in terms of labor costs and rental costs. And therefore, these force companies to be very cautious with their real estate spending. Right? This means that we have to prioritize the workplace essentials, right? Referring to workstations and meeting rooms over wellness and recreational spaces. Right? While larger companies, over 500 employees, might have the resources to provide wellness areas, recreational areas due to their scale, right? Singapore is predominantly dominated by SMEs, right, which employ up to 70% of our workforce, right, leaving them to only focus on the key necessities due to cost constraints. I think second, right, we are seeing that during the pandemic, many companies optimize their office spaces and reduce workstations to save costs, right, as they are expecting lower occupancy. Right? Now, as employees return back to office, we are seeing that some of our clients are facing the issues of their employees are working in the cafe seats during the day, right, leading to greater dissatisfaction as they feel that their needs for focused work are being neglected.
So overall, I guess the more pressing question would be, how can companies boost employee satisfaction with hybrid work?
Yeah, I think the key theme for this year is flexibility. Right? It's great that Singapore is moving towards the same direction, right, with flexible mandates kicking in December. Right? Our recent survey also showed that 87% of employees would spend more time in the office if we provide flexible starting times. Right? And also, on the topic of 4-day work week, 92% of Singaporean employees are open to trying a 4-day work week. Right? We also see the importance of workplace design. Right? Many employees report that their workplaces does not enable them to perform at their best. Right? Companies can then improve their design by offering quiet areas for focused work. Right? This does not only refer to workstations, it refers to dedicated, quiet, focused areas where I can perform at my best uninterrupted. Right? Also, the aspect of wellness is key. That's flagged up. Right? We're seeing natural light and adequate lighting as key features of an office.
I've had the chance of working with several organizations in helping them shape their, hybrid work design. And based on our experience, there are three things that really work well. Number one, organizations need to engage and involve employees in co-developing their hybrid policy. Wherever possible, companies must involve or at least, have or provide the opportunity for employees to influence that policy. Number two, flexibility based on our research will continue to remain important for employees and candidates. And more and more we are seeing the definition of flexibility is expanding from simply where employees want to work from to include things like when employees want to work or how much employees want to work. So organizations need to consider those as they're thinking about their hybrid mandates. And it is important that organizations don't take a one size fits all approach because the needs may differ across functions and departments and types of employees. And then last but not the least, organizations need to really think about how they create experiences when employees come to office which are more positive than negative, whether it's through office design or redesign, whether it is by being intentional in providing opportunities to improve their social connection with their peers, colleagues. Those will go a long way in making sure that employees are enjoying the experience at work, but also contributing to things like brainstorming or creative problem solving, activities that are best, or, that can best happen in an office environment versus remotely.
Thank you for joining us today and for sharing your insights, Saikat and Jenhan.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Once again, those were Jenhan Chu, Principal for Strategy at Unispace Asia, and Saikat Chatterjee, Senior Director for Advisory in Gartner HR Practice. For more news, visit sbr.com.sg.